Hello and welcome to Video Game Analysis. Today we take a look at a tutorial in SEKIRO. Game start. After the cutscene, we wake up in a well and there is nothing happening. Only a glowing something is in front of us. And that is the time when I expect the game to tell me left stick to move and right stick to rotate the camera. The reason why it is missing might be because in probably every game left stick is to move and right stick is to rotate. But what if this is our first game? I don't think it is really too much effort to show those instructions. Let's just do it for the sake of completion. That is something we call things we are expected to know. But okay, we figured out how to walk. Out of interest, we walk over to the shiny and a text appears that we can pick up this item. Okay, the item is a letter that gives us instructions on what to do. Escape the well. Okay. Find the moon tower. Okay. Stay silent and vigilant. Okay. This is a nice way to set the mood for the game. There's a little riddle to where our destination is. There's a description on how we are supposed to play the game. I like how the game teaches us about itself without breaking the immersion. And after we finished reading, we head towards the light, where most likely an exit out of this well might be. We encounter our first technique, learn how to jump. There's a prompt on the left side, accompanied by an audio clue. I like that. Sometimes when a hint is displayed during gameplay, it is possible to miss it. We practice a little bit and then execute the jump. And a second technique is introduced, the wall jump. We practice and make the jump. So far so good. But one second. The prompt for the wall jump reads, in air near wall. Is it just me or does that sound weird? Doesn't wall jump usually mean jump into a wall, then jump again? Actually, in SEKIRO we can perform a wall jump when we are falling into a wall, so the text is correct. Who knew? Next up we have the wall hug. It just says toggle. I'd prefer toggle standing in front of a wall, but I guess that falls under the category of logic thinking. And if we watch closely, the wall we are supposed to perform hug at is marked with some scratches. It is nice that we get the information that we can move on the ledge with the left stick. I think we get the clue this time and not at the beginning, because it is not common knowledge that one can shimmy on a ledge without falling off. Maybe you noticed up to this point I tried not to use the right stick, because no one told me why I should. But at this point it is necessary, because peeking without turning the camera is useless, and I just gave up. One thing I wonder though is why we don't get a prompt on the left side what to do now. Are we supposed to stop the wall hug like the one on the button does? Or are we waiting for something to happen? We come back to this point in a minute. Now a window about stealth opens. It specifies what silent and vigilant in the letter means. We shall avoid being seen by sneaking through brushes and under houses. The second passage sounds kind of a recap of the letter, rendering the same obsolete. The picture even shows the moon and tower from the current position. What I like is the picture with the warning markers above the guards' heads, in case we are about to be seen, even though the red marker indicates we've been seen, in contrast to yellow, about to be. I guess they wanted to show both stages, but why not write it down? I think this is a totally justifiable information to give. In order to be stealthy, we have to crouch, using my favorite enemy. Press the left stick. I've owned some Xbox and PlayStation controllers, but none of them labeled the sticks. The image is open to interpretation as well. At least it resembles somewhat a stick and a little arrow to indicate a push. Maybe I'm just too ancient to remember a time when pressing a stick wasn't a thing. So let's go sneak through the brush and into the house. Don't be seen. And we're in. But there's one thing I think is weird. If we start over and wait for the guards to finish their conversation, we will see a window with information about underfloor movement. Why do we get this tip only after they're done talking? Do the developers think we don't have any idea where to go? Maybe we wanted to watch them talk, hidden in the brush. I don't really understand why this is conditional. It is the only one, as I can tell, and it repeats what we've already been told in the stealth card. Before we continue, let's rewind again. I had a scenario in which I got spotted the second I slipped under the house. At the top left appears an energy bar for leader Shigenori Yamauchi, and people start to yell, "What is happening?" For my taste, some information is missing here. We fixed the card with the yellow and red marker, but it was never established what happens if we are being spotted. Another card would be great at this point. You have been spotted. Enemies know your position and try to hunt you down. You can fight them or try to hide outside their field of view. If they cannot find you, they will stop searching and return to their old position. And by the way, this is what happens. And it doesn't matter if the guards kill us or if we decide to take our own life. We'll be reset to the start with the information not to engage guards while being unarmed. Back to the point where we successfully snuck under the house. In this case, we learn about eavesdrop. By pressing down on the D-pad, we can listen to a conversation to get some context and some tips. I like how the directive is placed on top of the people we can listen to. If it would have been only the prompt on the left, I'd be a little bit confused. This way, we look at the text and immediately see that there are people and we will be listening on them. It might be trivial, but those are the details that are really important to me. After we leave the house area, we get another eavesdrop event. First I wondered what it could be until I realized that it's actually an ear inside this circle. The symbol means here's an eavesdrop event, but you are too far away. After we get closer, the familiar directive appears. And yes, the symbol was shown on the event prior, but I skipped that one, because it would have been a little bit hard to explain it when we only see the floor. Next up is the technique ledge hang. Nothing to say about that. This time it even says near ledge. What I want to point out is the tutorial prompt on the left side. Even though on the bottom it says climb, it still tells us what to do, unlike the situation with the wall hug where there was no information. What is the difference here? That we have two instead of one possible option to choose from? But I think option 2 is eliminated by logic thinking. The next part is the execution after the training. We learned some techniques and are now challenged to use them. It is a standard procedure in any learning environment, so I'd be shocked if it wouldn't be there. I spent a little time trying to find any obvious traps or ways I could take, but no, it is very well executed. After the cutscene, we receive our trusty sword. We can then talk to Kuro, and he will give us an essential item, the healing gourd. After another dialogue, an explanation on what quick items are and how we can use them follows. The first thing I want to do is to test what I've just been told, but there are no items we can use or change to. I stop being dense and do what the prompt says on the left, open the menu. If we do this, the missing explanation on how to assign quick items follow. But what is missing now for me is a description on how to actually assign them. Like, select the first slot in the quick items, then press A. A list of all quick items you own will be opened. Select the healing gourd and press A to assign it to the slot, or remove it if assigned. Press B to close the menu. After we tested our gourd, we follow the marker and proceed through the door. If you ever wondered if we could go on without getting our healing gourd, the answer is no. I tested it. He doesn't even let us open the door if we haven't used the gourd to heal ourselves. I like that it's not possible to miss such an important item, but I don't really get why he forces me to take a sip. And you can also heal up but not finish the conversation with Kuro. Then it says we cannot leave him behind. We can skip the triggers in the conversation by cancelling it with B. Once outside the tower, we learn how to fight. It says we have to attack an enemy in order to lower their posture and then attack again to deal a death blow. I like the info card. It shows what a posture break looks like. Additionally, a prompt for target lock appears, what I find very helpful. It is at a time we can really make use of it. They could have told us about lock-on before, but it wasn't really needed. That falls under the category tell us when we need it. What the game follows so far very well. A bad example would be to tell us at the beginning how jump, wall jump, ledge grab, etc. works when there is no opportunity to try it out. But let's continue with the attack. Once the attack prompt pops up, I'm fired up and I charge. Out of instinct I just start wailing on the guy and more or less trigger the next part, the death blow, by accident. The card doesn't give any clue on how to approach the enemy. Even though I praise the picture, I would go one step further and show a little clip instead. I call this show us how it is done. I think the designers even chose those enemies intentionally so we can rush them down easily with only attacks, because there's nothing else yet we could do. So giving us a little hint on how to approach a situation would be appreciated. Next up is deflect. It is another way to deal posture damage to an enemy. We have to press LB the moment the enemy attack would land. This part can be a bit tricky. Depending on how we approach, the designated enemy might walk up on us with a lot of time to prepare, or we're being attacked immediately after we close the card. The deflect mechanic itself is very smooth. I've played Sekiro for an hour or two, but I really followed the instructions when a hit lands. And it was successful. The test subject is also very well chosen. He telegraphs his attacks and is not very fast. It is a clearly visible overhead attack and he swings slow enough for us to react. And even if we do fail to deflect, we probably parry and can try again. And if we are too slow, we take a good hit, but we survive. Probably in the best case. Even though the deflect mechanic itself is very good, the instruction could be better. I first would insert a clip like we did with the attacking. Second, after we dismiss the card, I would slow down the game and write wait for the attack. When the deflect window is reached, I would stop the game and write LB to deflect the attack. After we press the button, we proceed with normal speed. The reason why I would do it this way is because deflecting is a very important mechanic in the game and I want players to understand how it works. Where is the window? At what distance is it open? If we let one try by oneself, one might just get lucky and continues. Another possible way could be to reset every time we fail, but there we have two problems. First, we could still get lucky. Second, I don't want to force someone to achieve something one might not understand or is capable of doing yet. By guiding the first attempt, we create a little feeling of accomplishment. We might be eager now to try it ourselves. If I have to figure out something on my own and I keep failing, I probably won't make use of it because I connect it with frustration. Okay, now that we learned about posture damage and posture break, let's address the elephant in the room. What the bloody hell are those yellow bars above the enemies and under us? Well, that is something that should have been covered. These bars indicate the posture status. If we attack an enemy or deflect an attack, the posture bar fills up and changes color from yellow to almost red. If this bar is completely filled, the posture is broken. The same rules apply to us. If we are being hit or parry an attack, our posture bar fills up. If we avoid further posture damage, we recover and the bar depletes. I wish the posture mechanic would be explained more in detail. It is an essential part of the game and should be introduced properly. Why not at least use the tutorial card? I cannot understand why we get a prompt not to hurl ourselves into the abyss, but the fact that there are known bars appearing is so nonchalantly looked over. This is my first point deduction. The next card, on the other hand, is one that made me very happy when seeing it. Sekiro might be the first game that explains why it is helpful to use lock-on. That is not without a good reason. Like the card says, there are combat actions that are very directional and we have to be perfectly aligned to make them work. In older games, like Dark Souls or some Monster Hunter, it can have the opposite effect and lock-on would cause problems with certain weapons, like two-handed swords swing anywhere but in the direction of the enemy. So I am glad the developers included that piece of information, emphasizing to use lock-on and not risk that players might immediately just discard it. Up next is the first elite. and we are being introduced to counter slash. It says we can attack immediately after deflecting for some more posture damage. Or in other words, the card describes what happens if the enemy's posture isn't broken after deflecting. So far every enemy's posture broke after one deflect. This is the first time our opponent will withstand this technique and keeps on fighting. Here we can also replace the image with a clip. If we really need another guided event for this one, I am not so sure. Practically it is the same input as the deflect before. Moreover, the fight will continue after the counter and the transition might be very awkward. After we deal the first death blow, we get the next card about stronger enemies requiring multiple death blows. When we close the card, like with deflection, it depends on the situation how the game proceeds. Either we are being attacked immediately or have enough time to react. This time I don't think it is that severe because we got more familiar with the game. And we might be wondering why the hell he stands up again after we punched an entire blade through his chest. After we defeated the elite, it is pretty much practicing what we learned. How to equip and use a quick item, how to hug a wall and shimmy, how to perform a wall jump, how to grab a ledge, to lock onto an enemy, and how to defeat it. And after some cutscenes, we fight Genichiro and lose. And that's it for the tutorial. We do learn a lot more throughout the game, but I consider this the end of the tutorial. It is a guided tool to learn all basic techniques so we are prepared for the challenges that await us. But here I have one problem. We did not learn everything we can do to this point. Near the starting area is a fellow who offers to practice our fighting skills on him. Beside attack and deflect, what we did learn, he teaches us about evading. Who knew? Why is evading not a part of the tutorial? Or even the following main road? We could easily run past this guy and miss the opportunity to learn about and practice this technique. The overall concept of this training part though is good. We face this guy who only performs actions for the specific techniques we want to practice. Furthermore, we don't receive any damage. We can try as often as we like without the possibility of failure. Although I am not a big fan of the repeat 3 times thing. I don't like if games dictate how often I have to do something. Is 3 really the exact number to fully understand how the technique works? I prefer the option to go as long as I like and then quit out. But back to the things we haven't been told. We learned about attacking, but we didn't learn that we can hold R1 to perform a charged attack. We learned about deflecting. We were told to tap the button. But we can also hold the button and block incoming attacks. And besides sidestepping, we can hold the button to sprint. And if we get knocked down, there is a way to quickly get on our feet again. I tried some other techniques when suddenly this card appeared. It is a technique to get up faster after our posture broke or we were downed. I was downed before a couple of times and even waited the whole duration without pressing anything. I have no idea when this event is triggered. I wish it would be generally the first time when we got downed. And the last one is stealth kills. If we approach an enemy without being seen, we can deal an immediate death blow. That one would even make a great enjoyable tutorial part. There's one last thing I wanted to mention I really liked and kind of soothed me a little bit, not taking the last part to heart. In the option menu there's a layout of a controller with all buttons labeled and their assigned functions. There are also the ones missing listed. Conclusion. This tutorial is well made and follows a lot of good rules. Introduce when needed, use examples, let us practice. It is woven into the story of the game and therefore immersive. It doesn't feel like a boring side mission we have to complete. But on the other hand, the tutorial is incomplete. There are informations left out that I think are crucial and should be taught in this segment. Some would even make a great event. The tutorial cards are a good idea, but they do not exist for everything and are sometimes lacking explanation. I would, for example, appreciate in some if they had a clip instead of a picture. But overall, I really like the SEKIRO tutorial. It is definitely one of the better ones.